Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Socially Distant Lawyer. Our year-end episode, year 4, is in the books, Greg.
That's right.
I'm Mitch Hayes.
And I'm Greg Vinogradsky.
And thanks for joining us this year. We've had a lot of things that we've talked about in 2023, and we want to look ahead to 2024 as well.
That's right. So we have had a lot of growth in 2023, right? Professionally, we've added attorneys, we've added offices. Personally, right, our attorneys have had children, gotten married, so it's been pretty awesome to see kind of everyone grow, and Callahan Fusco grows a firm. It's awesome. So
yeah, it's been a great year.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what we want to do is we want to give a little bit of a recap, touch on some of the things we talked about throughout this year, and kind of give you a little glimpse of what we're looking for in 2024. So actually, we have our attorneys in all of our offices that are going to give you a little glimpse of what they're going to be projecting and what they're keeping an eye on.
So before we get there, let's talk about 2023 and what we've discussed so far on SDL.
Yeah, and in New Jersey, for condos, the Employment Protection Act is in effect. It doesn't apply just to condos, but that's what I'm keeping an eye on. So contracts will have to be modified to make sure that vendors are in compliance with this law. Obviously, community associations are going to be looking to transfer the risk onto the vendors. So something that we're building into our contracts into the next year. The Corporate Transparency Act, again, doesn't apply just to condos, but that's what I'm keeping my eye on, is in effect. So board members and any ownership interests over 30% are going to have to register on the federal database their names and a personal identifier to make sure that they're in compliance. So that's something that is in effect, has been passed, both laws, and will need to be complied with next year.
Another issue that we talked about was Florida. Florida, the wild, wild west litigation sometimes. Yeah. The tort reform got passed sometime in, I believe it was effective in late March, so there's a flood of litigation. Our office experienced a number of, an uptick of cases, which is good for business, and obviously we staffed it appropriately, so that was good as well. But the tort reform has continued to be alive and well within that state. It's going to continue to change the law in terms of the contributory negligence and liability and some other issues, but that's another issue that we talked about this year.
Yep. And probably one of the things we've talked about the most is the lack of judges in New Jersey and really a lot of the states throughout the country. There has been a few appointments that have been made, but really has not been enough to keep up with the amount of judges that are coming off of the bench. So that's obviously caused a suspension in jury trials. In a few counties in New Jersey, they're still suspended, and in the ones where they're not suspended, we're not getting trial dates for many, many, many months. So something that we've talked about a lot and still definitely going to be an issue in 2024.
So it seems like a lot of the issues that we talked about as we started the year and finishing the year are still alive and well and going to continue into 2024 that we're going to keep our eye on. So now let's talk to our team around the country and see what they have in store for 2024 and what they're looking forward to.
Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea Novelli. I'm a senior associate in our Callahan Fusco, New Jersey and New York offices. Today I want to just chat with you a little bit about what we expect over the next year when it comes to New Jersey case law surrounding the ongoing storm doctrine. As some of you may know, New Jersey formally adopted this doctrine back in 2020 with the case Perea. That case essentially carved out exceptions to any duties that a landowner and subsequent case law carved it out for snow contractors with respect to keeping a premises free and clear of snow and ice. That case has been a huge win, so to speak, for defendants when it comes to duties with snow and ice removal. But what we expect over the next coming year is additional cases going up to the appellate courts and possibly the New Jersey Supreme Court when it comes to carving out what exceptions should be applied and what exceptions should be not. There are a number of unpublished opinions that are shaping that law, such as whether or not a public sidewalk or a private sidewalk is within the constraints or within the umbrella of Perea. There was a case that was recently decided this past year in July, Smith v. Costco. And that case essentially outlined that public versus private sidewalks, whether it's a commercially owned property or not, does not matter. the same rules apply, and it's really the underlying reasoning. So what we expect over this next year are additional cases to go up before the appellate court and, like I said, the Supreme Court when it comes to whether or not snow contractors are officially within the shoes or within the position of a property owner, and what that means to with respect to the contract, and whether or not the duty arises out of the contract or whether or not it's a common law duty. So we look forward to keeping you updated, and stay tuned.
All right, in 2024, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp has declared that tort reform is one of his top priorities, which he says is primarily aimed at reducing runaway jury verdicts. Various political groups have already pledged to launch a campaign of television ads backing the governor's plans. Currently, Georgia is number one on the list of judicial hellholes, which is a list compiled by the American Tort Reform Association, and Georgia currently has the 8th highest insurance premiums in the country. Georgia previously enacted a cap on non-economic damages for medical malpractice cases in 2005, but this law was subsequently held to be unconstitutional by the Georgia Supreme Court in 2010, which held that such a cap required a constitutional amendment. Thus, it will be interesting to see if the legislature will enact tort reform in 2024 and if those reforms will withstand judicial scrutiny.
Hi, this is Tony Ahmed. I'm currently working in the Philadelphia office. Earlier this year, the Pennsylvania Superior Court ruled in 2 unrelated car crash lawsuits, which made it harder for defendants to challenge the plaintiff's choice of venue. So in 2024, I'm going to be keeping an eye out what the Supreme Court does with these cases. So in these cases, the Pennsylvania Superior Court's decision posed a significant inconvenience to the defense. First, in the July ruling, the cases Immer versus Maxim Crane Works, the court determined that the defendant's arguments for transferring the case weren't strong enough, partly because they did not account for the ease with which information can be conveyed remotely. Several months later, in Tranter versus ED Tour, the Superior Court rejected another defendant's claim that Philadelphia would not be a good forum for witnesses who lived on the other side of the state. The court held that the defendants did not indicate why those witnesses were necessary to the case. While these Superior Court opinions dealt with slightly different issues, they both established a higher standard for weighing forum non-convenient claims in Pennsylvania. So I'll be, like I said earlier, in 2024, I'll be keeping an eye out how the PA Supreme Court decides these issues.
Hey, I'm Dan Kaufman, and I'm a senior associate at Callahan Fusco over in the Massachusetts office, and I'm here today to discuss some things to keep an eye on moving into 2024. The pandemic has had a significant impact on various legal aspects within civil practice, such as contract disputes, employment issues, and healthcare regulations. The pandemic has also created a backlog of cases that need to go to trial. It'll be interesting to see what the legislature or judiciary do to address some of these issues. Given the ongoing concerns about housing affordability and eviction moratoriums during the pandemic, changes in landlord-tenant laws or housing regulations could also be a major focus and area to keep an eye on. Finally, due to the ongoing increased reliance on technology, data privacy and cybersecurity are becoming more critical than ever before. We've seen many companies sending out letters and email correspondence to their consumers or customers, telling them that some of their personal private information has been leaked due to a data breach. Based on all this, we anticipate significant developments in Massachusetts laws and regulations pertaining to the protection of personal private data and information. I'll catch you next year.
Thanks, everyone, for your insight into all the topics we're going to be looking forward to in the legal fields in 2024 in your jurisdictions. Now we're going to turn our attention over to tech, and we're going to bring in our Director of Business Operations for Callahan Fusco, Tony Rosari. Tony, we want to get your insight into tech for legal tech for 2024 and what you're looking for. So what do you have for us?
Sure. I mean, 2024, that already sounds like we're in the future, right?
Very far. Nice. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, 2024 should bring a lot of interesting changes. 2023, all the rage has been artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, all these different new technologies that can be weaved into our day-to-day processes. Are you guys using them at all? Any AI?
Greg,
Not
you?
really.
No?
Not really. We're waiting to see how everyone else starts using it first
Sure.
before I
Yeah.
get too into it.
So be careful, but I do use it on a day-to-day basis to at least give myself a foundation for or starting blocks for some of the things that I'm doing. It's really effective when you're using it in that respect. Trying to do your entire job, it's definitely not there yet. But we've had certain conversations with different vendors about incorporating artificial intelligence into some of our processes, whether it's medical record summarization or depositions or just general discovery tasks, certain things that are repetitive that we can scale down the time that would take to take a large amount of information and isolate it down into a smaller, more palatable, Word document or PDF for our staff.
So have you seen how these things actually operate? I mean, are they working right, or are these promises that are being made by the vendors?
You get a little bit of both.
Right.
That's probably why we haven't jumped into anything, fully yet. But I would anticipate that we're going to venture into at least one of these in 2024 at Callahan Fusco. But that being said, I think it's just a changing and evolving world of technology. It always has been that way, and it'll continue to do that. But there are certain tasks that we can isolate that are definitely applicable for use on the AI front.
Mm-hmm. So one thing also is, with the remote working and all that, where do you see that going kind of next year? And do you see that kind of taking off, taking a step back? And what type of technology do you think is going to be out there for companies to use?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the organization that you work for or with. Our philosophy has always tried to be to keep everyone together and have this organization that people are not afraid to talk to decision makers or leadership about almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad, but I think if you're trying to foster that type of environment, you ran into some roadblocks with COVID and with just remote work. However, remote work has been really beneficial for all of us, I think. Keeping things flowing more around the clock has been something that we've been focused on, but still trying to get back to that sense of just one organization is something that we're trying to tackle. We chatted about it a little bit off the air, but implementing some type of virtual space that everyone is together on. I think most people now are using Teams or Zoom or different chat functionality, but there's other ways that we're looking to incorporate here at CNF. So looking forward to potentially implementing that in 2024.
I think efficiency is going to be the biggest key with tech, and the virtual environment allowed us to expand our talent pool too. So I think those are two big things that we have going for us. Definitely.
I think that's an ongoing industry issue, and I think just general issue of it allows, this remote work allows people to open up a lot more opportunities. So you see people transitioning in and out, especially this time of year. You're looking on LinkedIn and you see, job changes, promotions, and it's good. It's great to see because you figure that people are learning and they're building and your networks are growing. But at the same time, when you're trying to run an operation, turnover isn't great. And although it might be good for someone individually, you want to make sure that you're creating an environment that you're fostering people to stay and to build with you.
Yeah, well, I think definitely offering options for people for remote work and making sure that new hires that maybe are remote have access to the partners and have access to the resources that they would as if they were in the office. So I think you're right. Those are things we'll probably look to expand on more and make sure that the process transition is kind of more seamless. So, yeah, thanks for coming on, Tony. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I was going to say one add-on, Greg.
Go ahead.
Striking the right balance with that remote work.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we've tried to really hone in on. And it's great to have people in and out of the office and working around their schedules. But if you never see the people that you're supposed to see on the days that you're in, how effective is that? So, that's going to be one of the things that we'll continue to struggle with and try to perfect in 2024.
Cohesion. We still need cohesion, no matter where we're working. Is the big takeaway.
Absolutely.
Now you want to conclude it?
Yeah.
You're good.
Thanks for
That's it. That's all. I'm done.
I feel like a podcast is coming with this. I'm just gonna say.
Could maybe.
Yeah.
You have to be on a better location.
Well, thanks for coming on, Tone. Appreciate it. We're definitely looking forward to all the new tech and all the new opportunities we have in 2024 to use that and make it more efficient. Thanks for everybody this year who's been listening and watching. Got a lot more content coming on in 2024. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. We'll see you next year.